Episode 1. I want to introduce myself. My name is Samson. The posts that I do are targeted towards Indigenous men aged 38 who've been born July 1st and up to now. You are the 8th generation, and this message goes to you, but it goes to the men. I am looking for leaders in the community. Excuse the mic, but I want to show you First Nations men how to use your gifts, because this time is a time of gifts. But these gifts are entrusted to only a certain group of people in the beginning. And those are leaders, and that's you. Those leaders are the ones who've felt a lot of pain. The ones who've succeeded and then fail. Succeed and then fail. But they rarely ever get anywhere. But you need to look at those as training grounds. You need to look at it as a person who's like a jack of all trades, because that individual is a person that I seek. That's the leader. A person who's seen defeat so many times and gets up. That's the leader. I want to teach you how to use your gifts. I want to teach you how not to be a bitch to those spirits that live all around you. For every one human, there are 1,000 spirits who want to use you. What do you say? Well, what's that mean, to be used? It's like if you drink and you can't control it, you're being used. If you have to drink all the time, you're being used. That's the example that I'm talking about. People who don't have control of themselves, but want control. I'm going to teach you how to be that person in control. And the reason that I do this is we're living in a time of distress. If you look at the times of where we are and what's going on, you notice it's like there's something coming and you feel it. And that's the person I'm talking to. Instead of us waiting for that thing to come, why don't we do something before it does come? So I want to introduce myself again. Samson. In 2017, October 17, I took peyote and I went on a trip. And I learned the truth. 3.5 years this trip lasted. I was told to do one thing: believe. Nothing but believe. And to never stop believing. I was lied to, that I thought. But it's just I wasn't listening. Here's a good example. Someone says, I'm going to see you today. You say, okay. And then that person doesn't show up, and then he shows up on the second day. It's just like, what the hell? You said you're going to show up today. It's just like, I did. 2 days. Today. It's like, oh. Right? So, you got to listen very carefully on what I say. Because the only reason I say this is because people are always going to try and trip me on my words. Because a lot of the information that I'm going to dispel to you as a leader, to help you to make a decision that I'm going to ask you to do, to be that leader, to take that same trip that I took for 3.5 years. But that trip is not going to take you that long. And the only thing I want to do is I want to show you how to be that leader. But first you have to serve to lead. These people go off and call themselves leaders, but they forget who they serve. A community. But if you go serve your community first, they will make you that leader. And I want to show you how to do that. How to earn it. And not to just say, oh, I deserve it because I have these looks. Because I have these marks. A's and A+. It's like, that means nothing. I want to show you what is real. What it means to be a leader. You say, what's a leader? Someone who sits down and listens to their community. As you're serving, listen. Listen to them complain at the table. You're just like, interesting. And then think, how could I fix that? You're right there to listen to what your community has to say, right? Exactly. Because a servant, after a while, they'll say anything in front of a servant because they think little of you. But should you care? No, don't care. Continue to serve. Continue to listen to your community because your community needs you. This journey that you're going to take is only going to last you 1 month. So think 3.5 years in 1 month. You're going to be that leader that I can trust. Because right now, I don't trust you. You know why? Not because of your past that you've done as a human, but because of those spirits that exist around you. Because they govern lives. People think like, oh, I'm all by myself. You go for a walk, you're not by yourself. I want to teach you that world that exists. Once you understand how to govern that world, you become very godlike. Because you start to use the energy of the universe for your benefit. And the only way it works is through servitude, gratitude, love. And that's the only way it works. But I want to be that leader with you. These 3.5 years that I served. And I'll tell you my story. But I want to take you on a journey for 1 month. And it's about changing your diet. Not taking anything away. People are like, oh, I want my Big Mac. You're like, no, eat all your Big Macs. Here's the thing as well. The people that I'm talking to are also the people who have drug problems because you're skinny already. So it's almost like you've been fasting, right? So that 1 month you're useful. But a person who's like really overweight is like, and that 1 month will be asking too much of your body. You could almost hurt yourself. So it's like you could almost just step back and say you're not ready yet. Maybe you can go in round 2. Because leaders, there's different types of leaders. But the leaders that I'm looking for are the gifted ones. Only because of pain. The youth, adults, in this 8th generation who've experienced a lot of pain can be trusted with these gifts. These gifts come from Mother Nature. They come from your grandmother. So imagine your grandmother raising you and she watches you and she sees you grow, right? And she knows your secrets. She knows your weaknesses. Throw a spider at you, all of a sudden you jump, ah! It's just like, yep, still a little girl. Right? Because a grandmother knows. Because she raised you. She raised your mom. She raised your dad. Like grandmothers, you will see eventually are going to be your authority. And don't think of it as them having authority over you, but that knowledge that they have as an elder, as an old person. Those beatings that they took from their master, their husband, their partner, right? That's pain. All that pain they took in that childbirth. Everything. That pain you could never take. These grandmothers' gifts there that they have to hold are stronger than yours. They're going to have authority over these spirits that haunt the communities. They're going to take them out using that healing circle, not the sentencing circle. The sentencing circle belongs to a different group of people. But that healing circle belongs to your grandmother. And she's going to go there, and people are going to be strong enough to go and say, this person hurt me. It's okay, great. And I'll go together and I'll take that thing away from them. They call it enmity. It'll be gone. And those people will be able to have talks again, hug again, even kiss again, without having any of that wrong intimacy show up. Because of that thing that stands there and says, oh, I have a right to stand here because they haven't taken me away. And that's the grandmother's authority. It's quite the authority, really, because they're going to hear everything in the community, everybody's secrets, maybe even yours, because you'll have the strength to do it, to go say, da-da-da-da, I did this, you hurt me, da-da-da, right? That food gives that people that strength. And that's what's coming. And that's what we're working towards, healing our community. So that's the journey that I'm going to take you on. All the information that I have, people ask, well, where'd you learn that? I'd be like, well, when I started my journey, I've done a lot of walking. I walk, and I walk. Morning. And I listen, right? And I listen to Mother Nature, the grandmothers. This knowledge that I get comes from the grandmothers. You should say, oh, the grandfathers. And like, that's other type of knowledge. This knowledge is for protection. We're going to protect our people. This knowledge that I give to you. I want to tell you a story. There's a lot of stories. The knowledge is in the stories and in the songs. You just got to know where to look for it. And once you know how to look for it, you become useful to yourself, to society, your community, to everybody. This old man stands up and he says, I have a story to tell that I was just told. Because they would listen to, and whoever was trusted, nature would tell them, and all of a sudden they'd sit there and they'd listen, and all of a sudden they'd say, okay, get up and tell it, please. Okay. And he goes, one day, the people will be scared of this water. This clean water that flows, where the ducks swim and the fish, and they'll be convinced that you need to radiate it of all of its organisms that are useful of it, and they'll kill everything in it, and they'll pay them to do it, and then they'll drink it and they'll die, and those gifts will never be able to work because of that death. They'll be 75% dead. And the men are like, no way. He's like, they're not that dumb. Our people will get that dumb. He's like, yes. Wow. We'll be hurting in that time, won't we? Yes. You'll kill each other, not knowing why, hurting each other. Those spirits will use them because of that death, not knowing that beside them is that life flowing, 75% life. Those lakes that are spring-fed right from grandmother. Wisaki Chak, is to walk around with his people. Because that's how he would look after them. He'd go around and just visit. And they just knew who he was. He was a trickster. He would test people. Right? Because it was all about testing. They called him the trickster just because he tested. This is like, trying to call him the tester, not the trickster. So as he tested these individuals, because they would bestow gifts upon them, right? And nature would trust them, test them also, and see how you would treat another person or how you would treat yourself. A lot of it is how you treat yourself, how you think of yourself. How many times you look in a mirror and say, I'm beautiful, saying like, I'm a great person. Count those times. Bet you there's zero. That's the unfortunate part. That's only because of that. It's because you don't speak. I'm forced to try and get people to speak in a time when the mask is on, and they'll be like, put on your mask. Yes, sir. That's scary, isn't it? Someone telling us what to do in our own communities. It's a scary time. We need to do something about that. But first, we need to learn how to wake up to these gifts. That's what the wake up is. It's just these gifts. You as a pained, troubled First Nations youth, these gifts now are ready to be given out to the youth. Pain, done. Gifts, insert inside human. She's like, well, how do you return a gift inside of a human? It's just like, it's already there. Why it belongs to belief. There's people out there who just have belief, have a lot of faith. Just like, oh, we're good. Oops, and it is, right? Those people will be first in line. For 3.5 years, I had to believe that I would not be lied to. I would be like, they'd be like, your bro's gonna call at a certain day, blah, blah, blah. And he does it. And it's just like, ugh. And they'll be like, what's wrong? And they'd be like, I'm angry. You lied to me. He's like, well, what do we say? Right? And I want you to do something like that as well. In that belief, in that servitude. So 3.5 years, this is what I did. I would go to someone's house and I would pay their rent through cleaning the dishes and just serving that house. Cleaning. It was fun because it's like you just live in that moment and you think of nothing else, like the reset that I told you about. And you just live in that moment. And that moment, I found out was heaven. I was like, holy crap. Because hell is what you put in besides that moment. You're sitting there having a moment with your partner, but over there you're having a fight with someone else, and then it's just, you were not able to enjoy that moment. I'll say, what did I just say to you? You're like, what? You're not useful to that moment. For 3.5 years, I had to learn how to enjoy that moment. Every day, I'm tormented by these spirits that I can feel, only because I know how. Only to have a gift and it turned into my torment. They're just like, ugh. And the only way that I could ensure that it doesn't turn into pain is to not feel anger. Like the Ip Man. He's like, how did he win every time? Because he never succumbed to anger. Not even once. Well, The it man. I want to teach you how to be that man. How to never ever feel anger. And how to just be that calm individual in the room at all times. Which person should you fear in the room? The one who hasn't spoken a word yet. Because that person's listening. That person's in control. That person has assessed the moment, their environment. That's the leader. There's a lot of First Nations men out there who've been groomed for this position that I'm talking about now, these leadership roles. These are the individuals, let me tell you who they are. They have been addicted to everything, probably still addicted to something. The ones that people don't want in the community, hum junks, or whatever name they can think of. Because those people need to be able to take criticism. As a leader, you need to be able to take every type of criticism. Because that's what leadership is. You're like that thumb. Doop. Arrow, point, doof. It's like, oh, how come I keep getting hit? It's like, my God. What are you called again? An idiot or a leader? Like, oh, leader. It's like, good, listen. So, you people, young men, who can take this criticism, good. That's you. Because as leadership, it's easy to get. Easy to get. But it's hard to keep. Only because of this journey. Here's why I say you are going to be this leader. So, on the other hand, say I was just talking to you with my left hand and I'm like Donald Trump and so I can wave my hand around like an idiot. Right? Put the hand down. I'm gonna speak with this other hand now. So imagine that, okay, if you will. So these grandmothers have a role to play. They're the authority in the community, and I want to show them how they are the authority. And these elders are going to sit down because of this knowledge. The community will say, sit down. We've heard enough of you. The grandmothers will stand up, and they will be the authority. And I'm going to tell these grandmothers, there's a king in your community. Find him. He's in the 8th generation. And she'll be like, what's he look like? It's like, I don't know. You tell me. So these grandmothers will go out looking for a king, say, okay, well, these are hereditary kings that will be seeking these grandmothers. And so they'll look for the one who's probably serving, the one who's doing good things in the community, because this person that they're going to trust is like, we trust that this person is going to treat us well. He has a good heart. He's humble. And then here's what I'm going to tell these grandmothers. I'm going to say, here's how you can tell the leaders, the ones who felt the most pain, the ones who've hit rock bottom a lot, but are still here and are not dead. And within this age group. So you, First Nations men, will be seeking this spot. And these boys will think that they're kings. Ugh, the most handsomest guy in the reserve. It's like, look inside that handsome man. You'll not find any pain. And you'll not find a heart. That pain is equivalency to the love that you're going to have for your community. But the last thing now is servitude. He's like, well, how do I serve? Find someone who can't pay you back. Say an elder, an old man, an old woman, or a couple, elderly, and their house is dirty or something like that, and you just think like, and they have a room there. Because this time, I'm also going to go to the grandmothers and say, you need to prepare a way for these people that are going to come and serve. So it's serendipity is going to be what we're going to rely on. That's called faith. To believe that something's going to be there without seeing it. And that's what I had to do for 3.5 years. For a carrot. I saw this carrot ahead and I walked blindly towards that carrot. And it hurt. It hurt a lot. To understand how life works. And I heard many stories where First Nations people came from. They say, oh, the Bering Strait theory. Close. But we won't call it that. We'll just call it the walk. But these leaders, you, the community is going to need you soon to stand up. The time of slumbering is over. Like, it could never last, right? You think it was going to last forever. It's just like, come on. But you know it's not. Because there's something inside you just saying like, oh, I want to do something, but I can't. But I'm going to show you how you can. How we can do it together. And how we can do it through being that leader. Here's how it starts, being that leader. I need you to believe in yourself. But first you have to say it. And I just want you to be able to do these 1 words. And I'm going to take a break, come back. And I'm going to believe that you've done it. But if you haven't done it, don't come back. Because that means you don't believe in yourself. And you're not ready. I need you to go to a mirror. Men only. Only because of the fact of that penis. Nothing else. You'll see how women fit in this role. Because then maybe a woman will be hearing this and she'll get offended. Don't be offended. These men are here to help you. And you'll see how these men will serve you, the community. So everything I do is not to offend, but just to enlighten, to teach. I am a teacher. That is my role. I am to teach you your gift. Like a grandfather would have given to his grandson. So here, let me pass this on to you, but let me teach you how to use them. And that's what I did for 3.5 years, was to learn how to use those gifts that belong to the community, that are already there, but they're waiting for people to walk into them. And these gifts run on love, not hate. Love. Okay, these young men. I need you to look in the mirror, and I need you to say with authority and with your own voice, no one else, this is a personal journey. I need you to say, I am a king. And say it with authority. All of a sudden, someone goes, who are you? Says, I am a king. He's like, oh, sorry. That person knows they bow down, right? That's what just happened in the spirit world. But anyway, I'm going to take a break.